Public View is a new exhibition at Bluecoat. It's 106 artists, and they're all artists that we've exhibited before. And what you've got in it is a snapshot of mainly British, but also international artists, and their interests across half a century.
I've always felt, and obviously I've got experience to know that it's not just always been for major established artists, it's been for the local community. And I suppose I could verify that because I am connected to the local indie community here, and they've come by and felt very, very welcomed by Bryan and his team. So I think that's what's probably set it apart from other galleries, that, you know, they have got a connection to the local community.
A big part of our 300 years is as an art centre. So a third of our history is with the arts, and we wanted to show a sort of continuity of artists being very much part of the building.
Bluecoat was always one of those kind of great respected institutions, if you like, in Liverpool. So to be invited to exhibit here was great, and I think over the years it's just expanded that role in what appears to be a really fantastic way. You know, it's coming here today and walking down from the railway station and turning into the street and just seeing the Bluecoat at the end of that alleyway. I just thought, wow, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, when I came here in 2008 to exhibit, the Bluecoat was just going through its radical transformation into being part of the L1, part of the shopping centre, essentially, in the centre of Liverpool. And still a lot of the shops weren't quite occupied yet. It kind of felt like this was maybe an experiment that might work, might not. And you come here today and it's incredible. It's obviously a thriving space where culture is meeting the people just passing by, as well as the dedicated visitors. And yeah, it's great to see that it's been such a success, actually.
Well, in the exhibition you can see virtually everything. We haven't got large-scale video, but there is some video work, quite a lot in the show. But it goes from very small etchings and drawings to large paintings, to documentation of performances, the whole range of work. So pretty much everything we've covered over the years, which put together gives you a pretty good snapshot of how artistic practice has changed over the sort of 4 or 5 decades that we're covering.
I do think art centres are important today, partly for the point I made previously about the multidisciplinarity. I think having those kinds of diverse activities, whether that's performative, cinematic, exhibitions, conferences, the kind of dialogue that can be held here, I think that richness is not typical of many venues which have a singular kind of activity as their main focus. And I do think that kind of diversity encourages people to perhaps be in a building for one purpose and to cross over and actually engage with another.
Art centres are immensely important, and to have one right in the heart of a major city like Liverpool is incredibly important. I mean, I'm always reminded of when Sir Winston Churchill was under pressure to pull arts funding during the Second World War. He said, "What else are we fighting for?" Now, I'm not a huge Churchill fan necessarily. His politics kind of dubious, but what else do we live for except for the arts? And so the arts has to be at the centre of community, and to have this, somewhere like the Bluecoat right in the centre of the city, I think is incredibly important. It places it right into everybody's daily lives, and I think that's exactly as it should be.
I think art centres are essential for our cultural life. I think that, this is a time when public spaces are being closed down. More and more spaces are becoming privatised. The spaces to meet are coffee shops and places owned by larger corporations. So it's really important to have spaces where people can just be, whether that's to see art or engage with art or just have a moment out of their busy lives. I think it's important to have these public spaces, and the fact that there's one like that in the middle of L1 Centre is quite, I think, an important statement, and one that has to be fought for, because You know, this is now prime retail real estate. So it's essential that going on that we don't lose sight of the value that art and culture brings to our society.
The fact that if Bluecoat have still got original, because I'm an etcher, I'm a printmaker, fantastic printmaking facilities, etching presses that you wouldn't find hardly anywhere because you don't see those fantastic etching presses. So the fact that they've got that happening alongside the mainstream gallery, because it is mainstream and because it's known the world over, and I just feel dead proud because when I get off the train I get, you know, what's butterflies in my stomach because I'm thinking, ooh, I'm in Liverpool, and then I think, oh, but I'm going to the Bluecoat, and I always feel like it's home from home.